Hello and welcome to the Point to Rise show. This is your host, Susanne Talks, former international ballerina that found her passion in mindset, business, and technology, and is today the founder of Rise Media. It is my purpose to use all the experiences of my past to create a better, financially sustainable future for the performing arts industry. And that starts with every single one of us. I believe that being you is your superpower. And I am here to guide you, empower you, inspire you, and give you all the resources you need to rise above what you think you're capable of. Every week, I'll bring you 3 shows featuring guests, collaboration, and mini episodes to ensure that you have the support in your journey as a performer. I want you to know that you are not alone. Stop chasing and start creating. Your success starts now, here with you. So let's go. And we are back, Rachel and I, doing another podcast. I think this is number 3, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Welcome back, my love.
Thank you.
We've chosen to record a quick episode for you because 2 reasons. Because her and I, we have consistently conversations, and sometimes we really look at ourselves and say, why didn't we record this? It would be such value we could add to the world. And B, because we have another workshop coming up on the 17th of January in New York City, but you don't have to be in the city. You can also stream in. And we're actually going to talk about power, personal power, individual power, what that means to you. We're going to really dive into and unearthing potential stories that are potentially holding you back from really tapping in your own personal power. And the 2 of us, we're just gonna chat around what our journey has looked like so far in terms of discovering our power, and what kind of stories we had wrapped around that one word. Do you want to start?
Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day of like, what is power? You know, not even just like personal power, but just the word power. What does that mean to me? What words do I associate with power? And what was coming up is like control and a lot of aggression, male energy, right? Masculine energy, and just not that great. You know, like I just didn't have a very positive association with the word power. It was like authority figure who was bossy and has a lot of control, but not in the sense of impact, you know? And I think that for me, it was like so interesting because for me, control is very graspy, and I do tend to want to control things and want to have the power because I want to be able to choose everything and have power over everything, right? Of all the externals so that I'm going to be okay. And so I think my starting, like where I started with power was when I have power, I will be okay because I will be able to control everything outside of me so that I will be fine. And that's like the opposite, right? Of personal power. And I think that's where I struggled and still struggle with of what does power mean to me? And when I make it mean something that I can control things on the outside or control or boss other people around, right? Change other things so that I'm okay. That's when I struggle because that's actually the lie, right? Like that's the lie that I'm telling myself is that when I can control, which in itself is a lie, because we will never be able to control anything outside of us, right? It truly comes from the inside. And that's what reflects our reality. But the lie was when I can control everything on the outside, I will then feel safe. I will then feel confident. I will then feel in control, right? So that's really where I started with power. What was your experience with that?
Oh, wow. You know what? I didn't even know that I had limiting beliefs around power until I had a podcast interview where we talked about personal power, and it literally dropped in for me that, oh my goodness, I am reluctant to step into my personal power because I think it is bad, because I don't have a good relationship with the word and the meaning. Meaning that when I say meaning, the meaning that I had made up for me was that you have to be mean and controlling over other people in order to be powerful or have the power or gain power. You have to do something that will hurt somebody else in order to be powerful. And in that moment, I really truly realized that that was my belief, yet that's not the truth, nor do I think nowadays that it is the truth. However, I wasn't aware of what was actually sitting in there until I talked about it, right? And that gave me permission to really, I wouldn't say unleash, but to understand that we all possess so much power in ourselves. We are capable of anything and everything that we're setting our mind to. And that is really powerful, right? Which lifts off of this burden and this weight that we have to wait for somebody else, or we have to have all of these things in place that we can control and navigate, like a huge keyboard, where we're controlling the world. And that gets really exhausting and challenging. And what else is a good word for that? Yeah, it really drains your battery empty over and over and over again. And when I realized that that's actually not the case, that everything that I want is in here and I can unleash it when I give myself permission to, that was mind blowing. Now, I want to add here that unleashing and giving yourself permission is a whole different, I would say, kind of work we're choosing to do. It's something you tap into every single day, because we don't, sometimes we just wake up in the morning and we're blue, or Lori Harder says spiritual amnesia. And now I really truly know what she means with that, because some days I go to bed and I feel like I am flying, and I wake up and I feel like the last little bit on earth. And it's these moments where we get to choose to what we believe in, right? Like, what kind of powerful statements are we choosing to lean into? Let me ask you this question. Why do you think, particularly in the performing arts, we tend to release so much of our personal power?
I think it's that we release it because we don't believe we have it. Like, I don't even think there's an idea that we have power, because we believe and we're giving over our power to everyone that's employing us along the way, like the casting director and the choreographer and the director and the music director and everyone who is going to give us the job, right? Because we believe in order to get the job, we have to please, impress, prove to these other people. These other people are who are in control of our lives. Because we say all the time, like, there's so much that you can't control, which is true, but we're not talking about what we can control. And that's our thoughts, right? Like, no, we cannot control how another person reacts to us, or potentially even what they see in us or what they're needing for their production, right? We can't control that. But what we can control are our thoughts around what would that mean. And also, we do have control to manifest the life that we want, right? Like, we can think our careers into existence. You really can. And when you're thinking for a moment, or if you're listening to this and you're like, but I just don't believe that, notice how you don't believe that you can think your your career into existence, therefore you're not thinking your career into existence, right? Whatever you truly believe and fully embody, that's what's going to happen. So like experiment. What would it be like if you truly believed I could think my career into existence and I had the power to create that? I have the power to put that forth. You might show up in your life very differently. Not might, you will show up in your life very differently. And so I think, especially within the performing arts, when we are giving all of the control to the gatekeepers, we then have no power, right? Because they apparently have the power to create our life and to create our careers. We have to shift that and notice that the truth is actually that we have the power to create it all. And it's not until we believe that, and it's not until artists truly believe that they have the power to create it all, that, I mean, they're going to be exhausted, right? Like artists are going to continuously be burnt out and exhausted because, as you said, it is draining to give your power away all the time and feel as though you don't have a choice and that other people are controlling your life. Like that is so exhausting. So I think ultimately it's just because we've been told this lie that it's up to the casting directors, right? And we have no control. Like, well, we can't do anything. So we just show up and hope that we're what they're looking for, right? It's like from the very beginning, artists are just taught you have no power in this. You're just waiting to be discovered, right? Which we've talked about so many times, right? Like we're just waiting to be discovered. The power is not in our hands. And it's truly about finding where do you have power? And it's always going to be in everything that you do, right? You have power with anything that has to do with you.
Okay, so that was so beautiful. And you know this the saying of how we do one thing is how we do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning if you show up in the studio, whatever art form, performing art form you are rehearsing or embodying, if you show up as that artist in a power relinquishing kind of state of mind, that is how you will live the rest of your life too. It is not that you can separate that. You will always in your relationships outside of the studio, in anything that comes after your performing life, you will take the back seat and you will wait until people do things for you or discover you, or until it's perfect, or you will bend over backwards to please everybody else so you can find your worth in them. And that is not a life to live. It is a very, again, exhausting part. And we're draining our energy somewhere where it just doesn't produce anything. It doesn't, when we're looking at money, how that can, really create wealth because of the compound interest. That's the same thing with energy. Like if we're focusing our energy on other people and how they can give us what we need, then it's not going to create compound interest. It will drain you empty. And I think the biggest lesson that I've learned over the past 3 months was when I had a conversation with a woman. I was late in her 50s, and I was talking about, the performing arts world and how powerless they are. And her comment was, I am not interested in power. Power is bad. I don't need power. Nobody needs power. And I'm like, oh, wow. Wow. Like a light bulb went on. Is that something that so many of us actually carry because we have actually not yet discovered for ourselves what power really means? And, if it means something bad to you, it is in your hand to rewrite that story. You can rewrite it and say, hey, being powerful means I can help other people. That means I can change something that is really bothering me that would really give service to others, because you can't do that if you want to please everybody else. You have to be in your own power, right? And we're just going to keep using the word power over and over and over again to either strike a chord in you that you get so uncomfortable that you're actually going to sit down and, just look into it, explore that. It's just like an improv class, truly, right? It's like, okay, how does this make me feel? Does it make me feel anxious almost? Do I feel resistance? And resistance comes out in feeling anxious and you want to withdraw. You actually don't want to further investigate because it is so uncomfortable. Your entire system says, oh, no, absolutely not. Are we going to go there? Well, go there, because that's your sign.
Yeah. And I want to say, it's, if you are feeling uncomfortable with power, while 1000% you have the power to change that story for yourself, know that it makes sense why you potentially have a bad story, right? A negative story with power, because we've seen in this world a lot of people with power and how they've abused it, right? So there's no sense in shaming yourself of why you have a negative story with power, because as we said at the beginning of the podcast, so Susanne and I both did, right? I would say that a lot of people in this world do, because we've experienced people who have power in a negative way. But the thing is power is just, I think, a really like giant amount of energy, right? Like that's able to impact so many people. And at the very beginning of switching it, you could use, I think, the word impact instead of power, but ultimately we want to get to that place where power is the same as impact, right? Power has a new meaning to it. But when you have that amount of power, right? You know who you are. Power is not going to change you into a bad person. Power is only going to amplify what's already there. It's a tool. It's the same thing as money, right? Money is power. Same thing, right? It is a tool. It is a neutral tool. It is not going to create a whole new person out of you. You are not going to all of a sudden transform into this terrible person who is mean to everyone, right? It's only going to amplify what is already there. So if you have a generous, compassionate, driven, uplifting, and joyful spirit, that power is only going to amplify it. So know that, again, you have the power to use your power in any way that you choose, right? You get to choose how you use your power. Therefore, it can truly mean anything. And I think that's where we're really missing that. And that's where the inquiry and the curiosity comes in of, how do I want to use my power, right? What can this power help me to achieve in this world? How can I better serve the community? How can I better serve the performing arts when I have power, right? Because good people do good things, right? And so a powerful person can do incredibly good things because they have power, right? They have impact. They have a big voice that people listen to. I think that's one of the things that comes with power, right? Is that people look up to you. So I think it's the same thing with like having hundreds and thousands of followers on Instagram, right? Influencers. You see people have power over in social media, and what they choose to do with that power, with that platform, with those followers. You see it both ways. And I think that in the world, you're always going to see it both ways. That's how we're meant to experience the human world, right? There's always contrast, as Abraham Hicks says, but it's, again, you get to choose how you want to use that power. So don't allow this small group of people who even you've experienced or you see using the power in a way that you wouldn't want to do it. There aren't any rules in which how you need to use power. The only rule, you get to decide for yourself. These are my rules of how to use power, and you get to create those.
Hey, that was very powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So And this is why we actually decided to talk about power and personal power and what that actually means to you in our next workshop. Because unless you are stepping in your own power and maybe wondering why it's not working, why does it feel off, you will maybe find yourself not reaching to those heights that you really actually are capable of. And this is why it is so important, like that you have the decision power of your life, of your career over, let's say, decisions, directors, casting crews, whoever is out there you think has responsibility for your happiness. It is yours. It is all yours for the taken. And we're going to dive in that workshop and really uncover your beliefs around power and how you can rewrite that, how you can step into, let's say, a more empowered version of yourself that actually believes in him itself, and is then capable of showing up in a more empowered way, not only for the audience, but also for your peers, and giving them permission to step it up a little bit. And that is exactly how we are going to change the industry. This is how we're going to rise it up to an I would say a higher vibration, right? That creates more and chases less.
Absolutely.
So when is that going to happen, Rachel? Give it all to us.
Yes, it is going to be on Monday, January 17th at 11 a.m. in New York City. But if you're not in New York City, we are doing it virtually as well. When we added in that option last time, it was so great. The amount of breakthroughs that happened with people online and in the room were equal, right? So if you're feeling called to be in this space and you're not in New York City, join us virtually. It is so, so worth it, because this energy that we are creating, this space that is created by all the other artists and Susanne and I, is palpable, right? You can feel it. So Monday, January 17th at 11 a.m. In New York City. And that's going to be Eastern time for the in-person. And you can click the link in the show notes, or you can go to Suzanne's bio or my bio or the Point to Rise bio, and you can grab your ticket. It's $15 for this 2-hour workshop. It is less than a dance class. It is less than a voice lesson. It is less than pretty much everything else that you're going to invest in your training. And this is going to be the thing that dissolves the blocks so that you can actually tap into the capability that you have, right? So we've been talking about the whole episode. So invest in yourself and bring a friend, because what's more fun than truly tapping into your power and your friend's power, and you get to celebrate with each other, and you get to have a little bit of a comfortable person as you walk into something that could potentially be a little uncomfortable, but leads to incredible results and incredible breakthroughs. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you. I just want to end this little episode today with saying that, listen, whatever you do and however you choose to step forward is absolutely empowering, because I don't think there is a measurement for what we're doing and what we're not doing. Letting go of limiting beliefs, of stories that we have perhaps been given during our childhood or during our training for whichever job you are in right now. We can sit here and blame everybody outside of us, but we're now grown-ups and we have the power, we have the control. It is on us to let all of that go and really step into that more effective, empowering version to really create, I would say, a better life. We don't have to relive what's been behind us. Whatever is behind us doesn't determine who we have to be in the future. And with every $15, with every $10, with every page of a book you may be reading, is is that little step. It's that 1% that pushes you forward. And it is uncomfortable. It will feel, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? It's like taking a heavy weightlifting class after you haven't done anything for 6 months. Just as awful. That will feel just the same way, right? Like it feels awful. Let's be honest about it. And that's okay. It is totally okay. So we hope to see you there. Thank you for listening. We cannot wait to have this workshop, and join us on Instagram. Good Lord, I almost forgot. So we are showing up twice a week there, sometimes 3. We do hot seat coaching moving forward. We have topics. So follow our stories. Come on in on our lives. If you want some free hot seat coaching, just got to be on the live. And if you can't, just watch the recording, and you can always take something away from somebody else being coached. So
absolutely.
Any last words? Sorry, it's
just
coffee in my mug.
Yes. The only thing is that, especially with power, but the way I always end my podcast, and since we're going to have it on both, is to remember that no matter where you are and no matter how you feel, you always have a choice.
Into that. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.